Yo, what's going on people? It's your boy Huncho, back at you again with another video. So once again, we've got to head over to the Ipswich region of the UK, where news has recently come out in regards to a shooting that had happened earlier on this year. But before we get into that, if you guys have seen my recent coverage about the Kesgrave shooting, then you'll know that a 15-year-old boy had been shot while walking to school. Again, Kesgrave is in the Ipswich region for anyone who's wondering, and if you haven't seen the coverage, I will leave that link down in the description, so feel free to go and give that one a watch to put this video into a bit more context. Either way, there's been some major updates surrounding this whole situation, and it's been alleged that the 15-year-old boy had been shot in the face by a double-barrel shotgun after allegedly a confrontation had broken out between himself and an ex-friend. Friends of the victim described him as a normal kid who enjoys music and being a scout, adding that the pair had been friends but had recently fallen out. A neighbour who witnessed the aftermath of the shooting described it like a war zone and went on to say that the victim's parents came out to tend to him, and it was said that they were very distraught. That neighbour went on to say, "As far as I'm concerned, there are two families torn about in more ways than one. I'm sure the police will get to the bottom of it." So it looks as if the shooting, which occurred on the Grange Farm housing estate, may have in fact been extremely close to where the victim lived. As of today, the 14th of September 2020, the 15-year-old boy does still remain in hospital and is still in critical condition. So because we covered the story pretty much as news broke, I only went on to say that a teenager had been arrested over the incident, but we didn't know his age. But it's now believed that the shooter was also a 15-year-old boy. In more details about his arrest, it's being reported that the boy had fled the scene using his dad's car and drove himself about 5 miles away to a street in Ipswich, where he then tried to hide. Around 2 hours after the shooting, it would have been around 10:55 AM, the boy was then arrested, and police also went on to recover a 12-gauge Beretta over and under shotgun. He was then charged with attempted murder, possession of a firearm with intent to cause fear of injury of another person, and possession of a firearm with intent to endanger life. Some pretty big charges for a 15-year-old schoolboy. The boy, who's from the Woodbridge area, has recently made some court appearances, and he's been remanded into custody for a plea hearing on the 7th of December 2020, with a provisional trial date set for the 25th of January 2021. So first, I want to say that I hope this 15-year-old boy can pull through this situation, because at 15, for you to lose your life when you've got your whole life ahead of you is pretty sad, to be honest. I'm pretty sure a lot of you watching this right now are around that age, or maybe if you're a bit older, you can remember when you was 15 and all the things you've done since then. That's the perspective you've got to look at it from. But we did say on the last video covering this, Kesgrave isn't really a known area for gang violence, so this must have been over a trivial argument, and it does seem that maybe some tension between the pair led to this taking place, which in my opinion, again, like I said before, is just overstepping the mark. What makes you feel that at the age of 15 you can just go up to a person, or maybe an ex-friend of yours who you might have had problems with, and go on and pretty much blast them in the face with a shotgun? And right now, this is all the current information surrounding this situation, and if there is any further updates, as always, I'll let you guys know. Which moves us on to our next story, which took place on the 3rd of May 2020, around 8.5 miles from Kesgrave, in a place called Barham. There have been some major developments that have come out over the past few days, which I thought I'd share with you guys, but let's take a look at exactly what happened, and then we'll get into the recent news. On the 3rd of May 2020, at around 4:45 AM, police were called to a 17th century farmhouse in the Green in Barham after there were reports that a woman had been shot. When they arrived, they found corporate solicitor Silke Hartshorne-Jones inside, suffering from gunshot wounds. She was taken to Ipswich Hospital by ambulance, but went on to die a short time later due to her injuries. Her husband, 51-year-old licensed gun dealer, and yes, I mean actual live firearms, not air guns, Peter Hartshorne-Jones, was arrested at the scene on suspicion of murder and was taken to Bury St Edmunds Police Investigation Centre for questioning. At some point after his arrest, Peter would go on to be charged with a murder. The couple had 2 identical boys, and this shooting was said to have happened 2 weeks before their 9th birthday. A neighbour, Kevin Terry, would go on to tell reporters that CCTV footage captured from his property showed the boys being led away from the farmhouse by police. He said, although the police took the footage for evidence, the footage showed at first that it didn't seem like there was any movement or anyone coming and going before the police arrived. But it later showed police taking away the 2 boys in a car, while an officer appeared to be restraining a man. Adding, "You've got to feel sorry for these 2 young boys who have lost their mother in the most awful circumstances. They're going to be the biggest biggest losers out of all of this. Other statements given to reporters from neighbours also went on to say that Silke would normally commute to work, leaving home at around 5:30 a.m. every morning and wouldn't return until the evening, but she had been staying at home since the lockdown had started because of course this had happened in May. In regards to Peter, it was said that he was a former governor at Oatley Primary School, and he was also said to have worked from home according to neighbours. It's said that he had his own recruitment agency providing staff for the catering industry and a business called Hartshorne Fine English Shotguns, selling of course shotguns. If you go to the website, which has now been taken down, the description reads, "Here at Hartshorne we offer a unique worldwide service specialising in the sale and locating of the finest sporting English and Scottish shotguns, side locks, box locks and hammer gun handlings, all the leading makers including James Purdy and Sons, Boss & Co, Holland and Holland, James Woodward and Sons, Grant Lang Lancaster, William Evans, Charles Boswell and John Dickon and Son. We have a particular interest in the sourcing and sale of fine small bore English game guns and very fine live pigeon guns, examples of which we regularly offer from their best makers such as Charles Boswell, W&C, Scott and others. We also offer a free gun valuation service, and whether buying or selling your shotgun, we can assist. From time to time we also offer a varied selection of military related antiques, militaria, memorabilia and edged weapons. Fully guided wild bird shooting breaks and days can also be arranged. For an appointment or further assistance, contact Mr. P.H. Hartshorne-Jones at any reasonable hour. People from the village also said that he had income because he'd been renting out another 17th century cottage where he previously lived with his wife. So after Peter was arrested over the incident, it was said that he made various court appearances, and in the most recent court hearing, it was heard that Silke was found in an upstairs bedroom suffering from 2 shotgun wounds to the chest, while the sons had been sleeping. It was also heard that Peter had went on to tell police after he was arrested, "I'm sorry, I didn't know what come over me," and later went on to say, "I didn't mean to kill her." Peter at this hearing denied murdering his wife but admitted to manslaughter by diminished responsibility, as it was said that he had a mental health condition, and this was due to an assessment being taken and he was then diagnosed, but at this current time we don't know what specifically he's alleged to be diagnosed with. The prosecution also said that they intend to get their own psychiatrist to examine him and draw up a report. The hearing was then adjourned until the 15th of October to allow a decision to be made on whether to hold a murder trial. So this one's a pretty strange one because the couple seemed fairly successful and they both own 2 homes which are worth over £1 million combined. She of course being a successful solicitor and him owning multiple businesses. So how does a couple like this end up in a situation like this where sadly the wife has gone on to lose her life and the husband is potentially facing a life sentence, and out of all of this the kids are now potentially without both parents. Week leading up to the shooting, the tenant who had lived at the property that they had owned, of course, which they were renting out, had went on to say that Peter was acting fairly normal because he went over there to help her sort a problem out with a sewage tank, adding that he seemed fine and that he got it sorted for them. So it will be interesting to see what's going to play out in court and how will this came to fruition. Now I do want to take this time out just to say rest in peace to Silke, because her family must be going through a really hard time now, especially her 2 sons as well, because like we've mentioned before, they could potentially be without both parents now, and this is going to probably scar them for the rest of their life. So again, I just do want to send my condolences out to her family at this current time. But let me know what you guys think of this in the comment section below. Give the video a little like, and if you want the latest drill, street and music news out of the UK, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's been your boy Huncho, and I'm out.